What is up, everyone? Welcome to Flippin' Bats, where I am in Dallas on site for the All-Star Game. All-Star Game Tuesday, Home Run Derby on Monday. Just so everyone is aware, the Home Run Derby being late Monday night, and this episode coming out Tuesday. We record on Mondays, so I don't yet know who won the home run derby. I'll find it out in a few hours, but I am recording earlier in the day than that on Monday. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think Pete Alonso is gonna win. I think he's gonna beat Adolis Garcia in the finals. So if that happens, if you're listening and you're like, wow, Pete Alonso did win, then please just think, wow, that's really impressive. And if it was Adolis Garcia there, wow, this is great. If not, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a fortune teller. That's just my prediction. Not a big deal at all. So we'll see how that goes. All-Star game on Tuesday as well. Going to talk all about that. What I'm most excited for with the All-Star game, obviously the first half power rankings as well, and some most surprising things from the first half, whether it be teams or player related. I'm going to give two options out there and pick which one I think has been the most surprising from the first half. So I'm excited for the next couple days. I am on site here in Dallas with a lot of fun things planned, a lot of fun things to do. So stay posted. We'll also have another episode coming out talking all about my experience here and going to be talking to a bunch of players and obviously being at the Home Run Derby, at the All-Star game. I'm pumped for this. Really excited to be here on site. Had a really early flight from LA to get here and we're thriving. So let's do this. Let's talk All-Star game and what I'm most excited about here. Let's start with we'll count down 3-1. Number 3, Shohei Ohtani. Not great in his All-Star game performances to this point, but not a lot to write home about. Just 4 at bats, 1 hit. So to me, does Shohei hit his first All-Star game homer here in Dallas? And I'm leaning towards yes. He's going to get a couple of at bats. I'm leaning yes, just because he absolutely rakes here in Texas. He always puts on a show in this ballpark. I think he's going to step up and be able to do it. He's one of the biggest. He is the biggest star the game has to offer in terms of, obviously what he does, multiple MVPs. Obviously, Aaron Judge has something to say about who's the current best player in baseball. I understand that, but Shohei always seems to put on a show in these moments. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do out there. Number 2 for me is Elly De La Cruz. What does the Elly De La Cruz show look like at the All-Star game? I was advocating for him last year to get in the All-Star game, even in very limited time, just because of how exciting he is. He is one of the more exciting players to watch in the game right now. He's sitting at 17 homers, 46 stolen bases in the first half. He's hitting 256 with an 830 OPS. Does the guy strike out a boatload? Yes, he does. Does he when he's putting the ball in play, is it going well? Absolutely. So I'm excited to see if he gets on base, guaranteed stolen base. How many is he going to steal? Does he get on base twice? Could he steal 4 bases and the 2 ABs he's probably going to get? That the answer is yes, but he's going to put on a show, and that's why he deserves to be here. This game is about fan entertainment and putting the best out on the field and them showing off and showcasing how good they are and how good they can be. And Elly De La Cruz sitting at 46 stolen bases in the first half, you better believe is going to put on an absolute show if he's able to get on base in this All-Star game. So I'm looking forward to that. But number 1 for me, the top storyline, the top thing that I am most looking forward to at the 2024 All-Star game is Paul Skeens starting on the mound. Last week talked about how excited I was and how hopeful I am that he makes the All-Star game, what that looks like. I think last week he had just gotten announced to be a part of it, but we hadn't yet known that he is the starter for the National League in the All-Star game. Just the fifth rookie to start an All-Star game, first since Hideo Nomo in 1995, the youngest to start since Dwight Gooden in 1986 when he was 21 years old. This guy is a phenom. He's probably right now the most dominant pitcher in the game of baseball. He's more than likely going to be facing Gunnar Henderson, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge back to back to back to start the game. Is he going to get 2 innings? Is he going to get one? I don't know. I'm probably leaning towards one just because of because it's him and the Pirates are already, cautious with him and his arm. But starters in the All-Star game do sometimes get 2 innings. So we'll see there. But more than likely in that first inning, gonna get probably Gunnar Henderson, Soto, and Judge, which just reminds me of the Pedro Martinez start that he had where he punched out the first six guys and everybody he was facing was unbelievable. And that murderer's row of six guys he had to face and punching them all out in the All-Star game. I feel that here with Skeens. I am so pumped up. This is so good for the game that Paul Skeens is the starting pitcher on this big stage. Everyone will be watching. Paul Skeens going to go out there and throw 103 miles an hour. He's going to throw a 100-mile-an-hour splinker. He's got his slider that's nasty. He's going to put on a show. And for a lot of people that are going to be watching have probably not seen Paul Skeens pitch before in the big leagues. Now they're going to get to watch him pitch, and now you're going to get to see what the future of baseball looks like. This guy is a star. He has multiple Cy Young awards in his future. He is everything he was chalked up to be and more. And now he's a year removed from pitching in the College World Series, going to be starting the All-Star game for the National League. That is an unbelievable accomplishment, and it is so well deserved. And I am so excited to watch him take the mound. So for me, one storyline is Shohei Ohtani. Is he going to hit a homer? What performance is he going to put on? Obviously, not pitching, just hitting. What does that look like? It's his first All-Star game doing that, just a hitter. Is he going to get a knock? Is he going to steal a base? Is he going to hit a homer? I don't know. But the reason he's on here for me is because he's the best talent that the game of baseball has to offer. He's obviously not pitching, which is part of why I'm saying that. I'm not going to say he's the best hitter in baseball. I think that doesn't do Aaron Judge any justice. I think Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball, especially right now. But with Shohei not pitching in this All-Star game, what can he do to put on a show for the crowd? Because he really does. He loves doing that. Next up, Elly De La Cruz. Speaking of putting a show on for the crowd, Elly will absolutely do that if he's able to get on base at all. So look forward to that. And then obviously what I just talked about, Paul Skeens starting for the National League in the All-Star game. So the first half in the books, we are honestly, the All-Star game is a little more than halfway through the season, but we're essentially at the halfway mark. It's the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star game. It's here. It's considered the halfway point of the year. So I want to do a segment that's what is more surprising, this thing or that thing, this team or that team, this player or that player. And I want to start with the Cleveland Guardians and the Milwaukee Brewers. Between those two teams, who has been more surprising in my eyes? For me, that answer has to be the Cleveland Guardians. What they have done in the first half of the year, and I don't say this lightly because I have admitted many times that, man, I was wrong about the Milwaukee Brewers. I think I had them being in dead last place this year. I thought NL Central would be much better, much different. And with the loss of Corbin Burns, with the injury to Devin Williams, with the offense not being as good as it should be, I just thought they weren't going to be good this year. And I was dead wrong about the Milwaukee Brewers. They're sitting at 55-42. They're leading the NL Central. They're good. They're a really good team. They do it all. They do it all well. They've pitched really well. They've hit really well. At some point, the Milwaukee Brewers pitching has to catch up to them. It's not it I don't think it's good enough to sustain a full season of what they've done so far. Can they get into the playoffs? Absolutely. At this point, their team has been really good. They've been very surprising. Can they get in? Sure. But is the pitching going to be good enough to hold up all year long? I don't know. I do think they need some pitching help. To me, the more surprising of these two is the Cleveland Guardians sitting at 58-37. You got a first-time manager in Stephen Vogt. They're first in the division. They're a lot of fun to watch, and again, they're doing it all. If you were to tell me before the season started, hey, the Cleveland Guardians at the All-Star break are going to be 58 and 37. How are they doing it? I would say, well, pitching. Tristan McKenzie is back and healthy and dominating. Shane Bieber is having another Cy Young year contending type season. And they're just getting some really good outings from everybody else in that rotation. And that hasn't been the case. I mean, their pitching's been fine, but Shane Bieber hurt out for the year. If you were to tell me that Shane Bieber were going to go down for the year early on, I would tell you, man, Guardians might be in for a tough one this year. It has been the offense with Steven Kwan, David Fry, Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor. These guys have been incredible. Steven Kwan is hitting 360 on this season. There's odds out there in different places. Is Steven Kwan going to hit 400 on the year? One, if you're betting that, don't try and get out of it. Nobody's hitting 400 in this day and age. But the fact that that's even a question is remarkable. Jose Ramirez, absolute superstar. Josh Naylor has been nails for this team. Hits a homer in a massive spot seemingly every couple of days. It has been a pleasure watching what the Cleveland Guardians have done this year. 10th in baseball in runs, 10th in homers, 9th in stolen bases, 3rd in wins, 2nd in saves. Emmanuel Clase in the back end of the bullpen, who's an all-star, who's going to pitch here tonight, Tuesday night in the All-Star game, has been phenomenal. Their pitching has been good. 6th in strikeouts, 4th in hits allowed. So, I mean, offensively, getting it done, right? 10th in runs, that's top half in runs, top half in homers, top 10 in all of these runs, homers, stolen bases, 3rd in wins. And then pitching wise, it is where they have been carrying themselves. 7th in ERA, 2nd in saves, 4th in hits allowed, 6th in strikeouts. So just look, you look at them, they're top 10 across the board in every category you could imagine. And that's what creates a pretty dang good baseball team. So for me, the more surprising of these two, though the Brewers have been a big surprise, I'm going to go with the Cleveland Guardians. By the way, everyone watching, listening, if you're watching on YouTube, for all of these, let me know in the comments if you agree. Comments saying, I would have had this team. I would have had this player. Let's move on to the next one. The Cubs and the Rangers. This is a bit of a different direction with these two because both stink at the moment and in the first half of the year. So you got the Rangers, the defending World Series champions, sitting at 46 and 50, and you got the Chicago Cubs sitting in dead last place in the NL Central, 47 and 51. They were 83 and 79 last year. So between these two struggling teams, surprisingly struggling teams, who's the more surprising? I have to go Texas Rangers. Defending World Series champions. I couldn't have imagined a world, in complete honesty, I could not have imagined a world in which the Texas Rangers are sitting below 500 at the All-Star break. I only thought they could get better during the regular season. Did I have the Rangers running it back? No, but did I have them building on what they did in the playoffs and having Evan Carter be a big part of this team after coming up last year, doing really well, and then really being a key for them in the playoffs? Absolutely. I thought Evan Carter was going to be huge for them this year. I thought Josh Young was going to take another step forward. I thought the rotation could be good. I thought Corey Seager and Marcus Semien up the middle would just be even better than they were last year. And then Adolis Garcia for me was the big one. Adolis Garcia, with what he did in the playoffs, the second he got hit in that series against the Houston Astros and turned it on and propelled the Rangers to a championship. The Rangers do not win the World Series last year if it wasn't for what Adolis Garcia started doing. I thought that would build the most confidence in the world for him. And it just has been a bad year. Not even on par with his normal career stats, which are pretty good, but nowhere close to what they were in the postseason. Just a bad year for Adolis Garcia. Injuries to Josh Young, injury to Evan Carter, though he wasn't playing well when he was healthy. Injuries to him. So, sure, we can sit here and talk injuries, but I'm not going to. It has been a lot of underperformance for this Texas Rangers team. I understand the starting pitching. Max Scherzer wasn't healthy. Jacob deGrom not pitching, injuries here and there. But by and large, just a disappointing start to the year. Same for the Cubs. I'm just not quite as surprised. Again, did I see them being 47 and 51 and in last place in the NL Central? I didn't. They were on the cusp of a playoff spot last year. I thought they were going to be able to. I thought they were a playoff team this year with the necessary addition back of Cody Bellinger, the addition of Michael Busch. I thought that was huge for them. Shota Imanaga has been better than anyone could have imagined he would be for the Cubs. You add all that together, and I thought, you know what? This team was right on the cusp of the playoffs last year. It's essentially the same team. But you add Michael Busch via a trade from the Dodgers. I liked that a lot. And you add Shota Imanaga, who I loved, but I didn't even see him doing this. And I thought that was enough to put him into the playoffs. It has been bad. Every team in the National League does have a chance via the wild card. Everyone but the Marlins and the Rockies are at play to make the playoffs. The Cubs being one of those. It's all about just go on a run. Just go on one run, and you're going to be fine. With a new addition of Craig Counsell there in the National League, I thought that was huge. First time manager there as well. The new addition, the biggest addition of the offseason for him, really, it seemed was, oh my God, they got Craig Counsell from the Brewers. This is huge. Now they're going to go all in. Here we are. But for me, I'm going to have to go with the Rangers solely because they are the defending champions and they are on the outside looking in big time. Not even close to on the cusp of a playoff spot right now, but started to play a bit better over the last 10 to 15 games of the first half. So we'll see what they're able to do in the second half, but they really got to turn it on. So for me, more surprising there, the Texas Rangers, more so than the Chicago Cubs. Lastly, we're going to do a couple players. We're going to go with Reynaldo Lopez of the Atlanta Braves, All-Star, and Alec Bohm of the Philadelphia Phillies, All-Star. Who is more surprising between those two? Let's start with Alec Bohm, who hit 274 last year with 20 homers, 97 RBIs, and a 764 OPS. This year, 295, 33 doubles, 11 homers, 70 RBIs already, and an 830 OPS. On the other side, you have Reynaldo Lopez with a 3.27 ERA last year. This year, he's the MLB leader in ERA, and he's 7-3 with a 1.88 ERA. And without needing to go into this anymore on the Alec Bohm side, let me just tell you, I'm taking Reynaldo Lopez here. Why? Well, those stats I just mentioned are one thing. Another thing is the fact that he was not a starter last year. This is his first time being a full-time starter in the big leagues, and he's been arguably the best pitcher. He's a top 5 pitcher in the game of baseball, top 3 pitcher in the game of baseball through the first half. 7-3 with a 1.88 ERA. And this was an experiment. The Braves signed Reynaldo Lopez knowing they wanted to make him a starting pitcher essentially as an experiment because he was the reliever last year. He's got nasty stuff. What can he look like as a starter? And you just got him, you turned him into an all-star starter after half of a season. So we could talk about what does that look like for the rest of the year? Is he going to hold up? I think we can have the same sort of conversation with Reynaldo Lopez as we had last week with Garrett Crochet. Is he going to hold up? This is an experiment with him as a starter. He's already over his innings, his career innings count. What does that look like for the second half? I have those same questions with Reynaldo Lopez. But for the first half of the year, who's been more surprising? It can't not be Reynaldo Lopez. Who in the world saw this coming? There is a world in which I saw improvement from Alec Bohm. Really good year last year. 274 average with 20 homers and just south of 100 RBIs. Good season. Now he's propelled himself into a great season, 295 with an 830 OPS, 70 RBIs already. That's a great season. But did I see that coming? More so than this Reynaldo Lopez situation. So more surprising, two surprising first halves for sure. But I'm going to go Reynaldo Lopez, who did not even start last year And now he's sitting here with a 1.88 ERA as a starter. Just unbelievable. What a year for him. So a few surprising things in either directions. Teams surprising, Guardians and Brewers. Who's more surprising there? Answer all of these in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, answer them in your head. Answer them in your head and say, Ben, I agree with that out loud. Or no, I didn't agree with that. But if you're able to watch and comment, let me know. Brewers or Guardians, who you have as more surprising in a good way. Cubs, Rangers, who you have as more surprising. And then Reynaldo Lopez and Alec Bohm. What a couple of years they're having. So let me know there. But as you know, we have to do first episode of the week, first half in the book. So these are some big ones. The end of the first half power rankings, my friends. We're going to go 10 down to number 1, and we're going to start at 10 with the team that hasn't been ranked this year. They play in New York, and oh my God, it is the New York Mets, 49 and 46. They weren't ranked last week. They're playing good baseball. They're playing great baseball since the day that Jorge Lopez threw his glove in the stands and then said the Mets are the worst team and he's the worst teammate. They are 25 and 12 since that moment, tied for the best in Major League Baseball with the Houston Astros, the single best in the National League. They're 8-2 so far in one-run games. They have the most runs per game in baseball at 5.92. They have 150 extra base hits, tied for the most in baseball. And since May 30th, Brandon Nimmo should have been an all-star, one of two outfielders with 20 extra base hits and 30 RBI, other than Aaron Judge. He is, or the other player being Aaron Judge. I said at the beginning of the year, as I do on Twitter or X every once in a while, and say certain questions I'll answer this team. I said, who do you think could be a surprisingly good baseball team this year? I'll start the New York Mets. Man, did they not make me look good for a while, but man, are they making baseball look fun right now. Grimace, the mascot, who's the McDonald's mascot, becomes a theme of their season. Grimace and Jose Iglesias' song "Oh My God" have changed around the New York Mets season and maybe franchise for the better. It has been a remarkable run that they have been on, 49 and 46, and currently in a playoff spot as the first half comes to an end. But the vibes with that Jose Iglesias "Oh My God" song, they make it's their locker room song. It's their song when they're hitting homers. They have an OMG sign in the dugout. He performed it post game on the field one time and the team stayed out there. This team has the vibes that you need to make things happen. And right now, the Mets are in the top 10 for the first time all year long. At number 9, down one spot, the Atlanta Braves, by 53 and 42. Really disappointing first half if you're the Atlanta Braves. You had big expectations. You had big injuries pop up. You had underperformance pop up. They're still a good team. They're still going to make the playoffs, but this team is not the same, and they need some help at the trade deadline if they want to compete in the playoffs. The Mets, they're only, I believe, 3 games up. They're 3 games up on the New York Mets right now. So we'll see what they look like in the second half and what they're able to do at the end of this month at the trade deadline. Next up one spot to number 8, the Boston Red Sox, 53 and 42. What a fun surprise to this season. Did I see this? Absolutely not. I was heated at the Red Sox front office. I still kind of am. All of this is shout out to the players and Alex Cora and just what they've been doing out on the field. I'm still heated at the front office. This team didn't really do much in the offseason. They're not even committed to going for it at the trade deadline. They're still uncertain what they're going to do. While they're sitting here 53 and 42 and in a playoff spot, the front office can't even commit to the fan base and the players and the team and say, you know what? We're going for it. Pack the house at Fenway. We're going for it. Can't even do that. But they are in the top 10 power rankings again here at number 8. At number 7, down 2 spots, the Milwaukee Brewers, 55 and 42, 3 and 7 in their last 10 games. Just hasn't been pretty. They're on a pretty rough stretch of baseball right now. They've been up in the top 5 a couple of times this year in the power rankings, but for right now, had to slide them down a couple spots just because it hasn't been pretty for the Milwaukee Brewers. So bump them down to number 7 and staying the same at number 6, the Minnesota Twins, 54 and 42. A good year so far for them. Got out of the gates really slow. So to be 54 and 42, they have been one of the best teams in baseball after their slow stretch, which has been vital. What I can't say enough good things about Carlos Correa and what he's meant for that team. Obviously, a bad year last year, but we're just 1 year removed from Carlos Correa being a top shortstop in the game and him hitting the market and all that stuff happening with the Mets and the Giants and then the Twins and him getting that 300 is he going to get a $300 million contract? We're 1 year removed from all that talk, and one bad year makes you say, Carlos Correa, just an average player in this day and age. No, are you kidding me? The dude's been a superstar, all-star player this year for them, hitting 300 on the year for them. I've been really impressed with his ability to just his grit out there. Honestly, I saw a game and pretty much 1 week to the next. It was honestly a couple days later. He got drilled in the hand, drilled in the wrist, ended up playing the next day, and he did that twice in the span of 2 weeks. I've been blown away by the year Carlos Correa is having. Really good for him, good for the Twins. Twins playing good baseball. Okay. Over the last week or so. So they're staying put at number 6. At number 5, down one spot, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're 56 and 41, but they're 3 and 7 in their last 10 games. The Red Sox continue to fall a little bit in these power rankings. They do have a good record. They are 56 and 41. That is a top 5 record in the game of baseball. But they're 5 and 10 in their last 10 games. That's 28th in baseball, third worst in baseball. They're 51. They were 51 and 31 through their first 82 games. They have massive pitching issues. Yamamoto, injury. Clayton Kershaw, injury. Glasnow, injury concerns. Injuries have come up. They have Walker Buehler. Name after name after name, they are dealing with pitching depth issues and pitching injuries. And the bullpen was never good enough to begin with to compete, as I thought. We were just chalking up, oh, Dodgers, World Series champs. Put it up. Look at those odds. Best odds of all time. Best odds to win the World Series. They had pitching issues, and that has only gotten worse and worse and worse. I don't think the Dodgers are nowhere near as good as they need to be right now to get into the playoffs and win a World Series, which is the goal, and which was again, I think, a guarantee from Dave Roberts, who maybe should stop guaranteeing the World Series. But I'm not going to tell him what to do. He's the professional, but it's not working out well, and it's not heading down a good path this year. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. Will they win the NL West? I think yes. But are they good enough right now? No. They need some help at the trade deadline, and they need some help bad. But they have been in talks with a couple teams about pitching, and that is something that they are going to desperately need. But they are at number 5, down one spot. At number 4, back up 3 spots. They've been number 1 in the power rankings a bit. They've been number 2 a bit, and then I bumped them down to like 6 or 7 just because it wasn't pretty for a while. But they've been playing good baseball and are worthy of being back up here at number 4. The New York Yankees started the year 52 and 31 in their first 83 games. That's the 4th best record in baseball. Last 15, they're 6 and 9, which is 24th best, 7th worst in baseball. But they do have a 106 run differential. That is the single best run differential in the American League and the second best in all of baseball, behind only the Philadelphia Phillies. They're a really good team. And have they had some issues pop up? Absolutely. And that's why I felt they were worthy of dropping down to that 6 or 7 spot where I had them. But they showed me this past week by going into Baltimore, to who last week was the best team in baseball in my power rankings. We'll see where they are this week. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. They go into Baltimore, top team in baseball, and win a series there. So Yankees back up here at number 4 after a massive showing against their division rival and one of the best teams in baseball, the Baltimore Orioles. So they're 58 and 40 at the All-Star break and here at number 4. Next up, the Cleveland Guardians, 58 and 37. Not great baseball in their last 10, 4 and 6 in their last 10. with the, second best record in baseball, second best record, you're tied for the second best record in baseball, second best in the American League, leading the AL Central by a good bit. I mean, this team has been a pleasure to watch. I talked about them earlier on in the show. Pitching, everything's top 10 in baseball. Hitting, everything's top 10 in baseball. And you put all that together and you got a team with the third best record in all of baseball. It's not that complicated. Do you need to be the best pitching team to win? No. Do you need to have the best offense to win? No. But if you are across the board doing everything as a top 10 team, you are going to be good. Let's use the Seattle Mariners as a reference. And maybe it's not the best reference because they're currently leading the AL West and in a playoff spot, but that lead has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and this team can't hit. The Seattle Mariners have the worst team batting average in baseball. They have the best, if not the best, a top two or three rotation in the game of baseball. And right now, we're seeing their division chances dwindle. We're seeing their playoff chances dwindle. Unless they can add some offense, you are not going to be a playoff team with the worst team batting average in baseball. It's just not going to happen. They need help. I've also, speaking of the Red Sox, I have been furious at the Mariners front office for not adding offense. You have a rotation in their prime. You have Julio Rodriguez, not even yet in his prime, but an MVP caliber player. Build around them. I don't even know how I went down this tangent. We're talking about the Guardians. We're talking about the Guardians being number 3 in the power rankings. I honestly don't, I have no idea how I just ended up down that tangent about the Mariners, but here we are. Guardians, number 3. At number 2, down one spot from last week. The Baltimore Orioles, 3-7 in their last 10 games. That loss, that tough series at home to the New York Yankees, man, that was a statement series. That was a big series for the Orioles. The New York Yankees are the New York Yankees. They have been the team in the AL East for a long time. And I'm not saying every year, but I'm talking like decades. The New York Yankees are the team that plays in the AL East, and everybody knows it. The Baltimore Orioles are, as we speak, becoming the team in the AL East. Move over, Yankees. We know the history. We know the 27 rings, but when was the last time you won one? Half the people saying, well, I'm a Yankees fan and we have 27 rings. Half of them weren't even alive the last time the New York Yankees won a World Series ring. But here are the Baltimore Orioles. They're ready. They're here. They've been here for a year and a half to 2 years. They're going to be here for the next decade. And then you have this team neck and neck with the New York Yankees at the top of the division. Both teams are really good this year. You have a packed Camden Yards. You have the Yankees coming to town, and you almost get swept. You lose 2 of 3. It wasn't a pretty series. I love this Orioles team. I have them in the World Series. I'm going to stick with that. But I had to bump them down to number 2 after a rough weekend series and a rough last 10 games, 3-7 in their last 10. But they are 58 and 38 at the All-Star break. And at number 1, my World Series champion this year, the Philadelphia Phillies, the only team in baseball at 60 wins. They are 62 and 34. They swept the Los Angeles Dodgers last week. Again, not again, I haven't said this yet, but a tough weekend series, losing a series to the Oakland A's. But they did sweep the Dodgers beforehand. All the teams behind them not exactly playing well. That sweep of the Dodgers was huge for me. Big week. They ended up going 4-2 on the week. And with what the Orioles did, that was enough for me. This Phillies team, I think the Phillies are the best team in baseball. Forget the record. Forget the play on the week and anybody else's play on the week. I think the Phillies are the best team in baseball. I know I had them. I predicted them to win the World Series this year, but aside from any of that, I just look at them right now. They've gone through injuries with Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, and they both just come back and put on a show. The pitching has been phenomenal. Phenomenal. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, All-Star, Aaron Nola. What this rotation has done has been unbelievable. And I just think by and large, top to bottom on that roster, pitching, offense, defense, add it all together, and you have the best team in baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies, the only team at 60 or more wins, sitting at 62 and 34, leading the NL East, leading the National League, and leading all of Major League Baseball through the first half of the season. So 10-1, we go New York Mets for the first time this year. Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox at 8, Milwaukee Brewers, Minnesota Twins, Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, Guardians, Orioles, and the Phillies wrap up this week's end of the first half power rankings. Exciting next couple days, my friends. We got the home run derby tonight for me. Again, this comes out early Tuesday. So there's literally not a world in which we could record and then flip it around. So we had to record earlier Monday, but I am here on site in Dallas. A lot of fun, exciting stuff coming up here. Interviews, home run derby, all-star game, and we're going to wrap it all up and talk about it over the next coming days and in a future episode of Flippin' Bats. So man, I am so appreciative of every single one of you for listening and watching. It means the world to me. I love this community so much. Every single one of you watching on YouTube right now, everyone listening on Apple and Spotify, this community means the world to me, and I am so appreciative of every single one of you and this community that we have here with Flippin' Bats and just growing the game, loving the game, appreciating the game, and wanting to talk about it all together. So thank you all for listening and watching. Make sure you please follow, subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, Apple or Spotify. You can watch every single thing we do on our YouTube channel, Flippin' Bats Pod there. And we're also on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Follow us all because we put some really cool stuff out there. But fun couple of days ahead, my friends. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the All-Star Game. Everyone tune in tonight to watch Paul Skeens start the All-Star Game. It is going to be a treat. But until next time, my friends, that does it. Thank you all for listening. And remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.